stuff?
Yeah, we miss out on the sex talk in the
Oh,
replay.
wow.
Sorry. Oh, man, mine.
Okay, here comes the good one. John, that was an orange sulfur that was photographed down in Warrenton.
We
Has
still
anyone
can't
else
see
heard
it,
of what?
Bob.
We're seeing you, man.
We
Here we
just
go.
see you.
And let me tell you, you ain't no orange sulfur.
Have you got the picture now?
No, we don't.
No.
I'll tell you when it comes up.
I'll have to do share screen again.
Yes.
Um,
Done it about 5 times now. Share.
Okay, it's coming up now, I think.
Okay.
Oh, so we see an email right now.
Okay. Now this.
So I see
There
the
we go.
cue for the yellow sulfur.
This
boom,
should be it.
boom, boom.
Have you got that?
That's a Hydaspes fritillary.
Yes. It's a
Butterfly
little
bush.
video of Hydaspes in my front yard on the Budlia with the covered bridge behind it. That covered bridge is right below my house. It's the only old covered bridge in Washington. And skippers flying in to it. I thought it was just a lovely little shot to share.
Beautiful.
Yeah, Paul called that a new subspecies.
Oh, yes, he does indeed. This one is, I forget what.
You can
Do you
forget.
still want to bring up the sulfur or shall we move on?
No,
You
I'm
got a
thinking-
sulfur in there, Bob?
Yeah, I can do the sulfur, but I think you've seen it, but,
I haven't seen the sulfur.
oh, you haven't? Okay,
No.
okay, I'll quickly do the sulfur.
Boom, boom, boom,
Good.
boom, 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 boom.
Okay, share screen. Share.
Okay, it's
And-
coming up. Okay, we see the
Let's try
Hydaspes.
that again.
Then we got Hydaspes again.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm taking an awful lot of time for 2 pictures. I'm trying to do
Maybe
this.
close out of the Hydaspes.
You're right. Yep. Okay, Hydaspes is closed. Okay, here we go. Zoom meeting. Come on.
Hey Carter, what's
Okay.
up?
Okay, here's the sulfur.
Okay, we still don't see it, Bob.
Oh, never mind.
Do you want to work on that?
Well,
And
here's the sulfur. You're not seeing it though.
no, we're not seeing it.
Okay,
Try share screen again.
it won't come up again. Never mind. You go ahead and carry on.
Okay, who wants to go next?
Well, I've got something sexy that I can share.
Oh, let's do that.
Whoops. There we go. So I was in a small meadow and something dark flew in front of me, and a beautiful great spangled landed in some ocean spray nearby, and it just kept flying around, dragging the male. Whoops. And I'm going to have the same trouble Bob did. I have a new laptop. So let's see if I can. There we go. And
We don't see it.
sexual dimorphism.
We do not see it.
You
We don't
can't
see
see
it.
it.
No, we
Did you,
cannot.
did you see the last one?
No,
No, we haven't seen
Oh, you
anything.
didn't see okay.
No, we haven't seen
we're
anything.
just seeing you.
Bob, I'm in your.
So
your
it wasn't
buffer.
Bob.
I'm glad I'm not the only one.
Okay, so let's see. I'm looking for share screen. Where is that?
It's usually in a banner at the top or the bottom, and it's often a big green button.
Check.
Green square at the bottom middle.
Got
Hey,
it.
but-
Thank you.
My AI companion just flipped me off.
Okay.
I'll tell you when it comes up, but we're not seeing it yet.
Boy, this did not happen the last time. Photos unknown, desktop. Let's see, enter screen,
You know,
documents.
Melanie, I had this problem. After you do share screen, you also have to push another blue button that says share. As if
This
they
is
didn't think you were
new.
serious the first time.
Share.
Well, I'm sure glad you guys are working this out so that by the time I have to do this, I'm gonna be.
Okay,
gosh, I did have
we see something that says following Melanie Weiss.
Now we've
Okay.
got your whiteboard.
Welcome to the new whiteboard. Sign in. I don't want a whiteboard. Oh, gee.
Well, now try to open your picture, it might work.
Sharing your screen will close the whiteboard. Let's close that. Boy, I don't understand this at all. Dropbox,
That's why we need AI companions.
Yeah, right, they can smooth up the system.
layouts.
It used to be so simple.
I know.
The
So I
redesign's always
pulled
been harder.
everything up and it was just right there.
You're gonna pay me to do the AI companion voice. May I help you, sir?
I don't know. You know, Paulette, I could send them to you.
Yeah, you can send them to me. And so
And
why
then
don't
you
you move
can
on
go-
for now? You send them
Yeah.
and I'll try to work them up.
Good.
So, okay, who's next? So on my screen, I see Jeff at the top. Do you have anything to show us, Jeff?
You're muted, Jeff. There you go.
After the last two attempts, I'm a little intimidated. I'm not sure I am any better at this sharing than the rest of you. I could give it a try.
You can give it a
Try.
try.
So
Might be the charm.
first of all, share screen.
Well, if you have your images up, then yes, if you have them up on your screen, then press share screen. And we should be able to see your desktop and then you can choose what to look at.
Find it. Well,
You'd have to have his folder with the images open.
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
That helps, yes.
Yeah.
I got so tongue-tied and tangled up
Oh.
trying to do this last year.
There we go.
Okay,
Now you're seeing that,
We're
right?
seeing your screen. So.
Right.
Okay,
Oh, there
we
you
see
go.
images. Yep.
There
Go
you
ahead.
go.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
these are some recent photos, but let's see, maybe
You just hit one of them, it might come up.
oh, can you see that?
You
You-
need to click on that image itself to bring it up large.
Do you see that northern crescent?
Right.
Yes.
The
Go ahead.
single photo?
Go ahead and hit that.
What we see is a gallery. You need to click on
Oh,
whichever one you want to look at.
let's see, you are sharing.
I see it clicked, but maybe double click on it. I see it checked, but we're only seeing the gallery.
Yeah, we're seeing the
See,
gallery.
I told you I couldn't. Yeah, I don't know. I just don't seem to be able to make this work either.
Well, you had some cool pictures in
Yeah,
your
yeah, you
gallery.
get some cool pictures.
They look like a nice
Well,
library
the question-
there.
The question I have, and that was a female northern crescent that I saw a month or two back. But my question is, where does the scholarship stand on the northern as distinct from the pearl
Oh, it's,
crescent?
yeah, that's
That's a
10 years
question
old,
for
bro.
Professor Pelham.
That's 10 years old. The northern and the Tharos, whatever the other ones,
Pearl.
they're different taxa. There's no question. They're
Absolutely different.
Yeah,
Although the
they're-
females are almost indistinguishable, right?
no, actually, most of the time, if you had a lot of them, you'd have to see the pearl crescent in a series. It's all eastern, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and when you
Although their range comes not that far east from where I'm at, and I get some interesting strays from time to time, and
the only records we have are from eastern Montana, far eastern Montana.
far eastern Montana. Well, that's still several hundred miles away
Yeah,
from me. I just remember this butterfly as being seeming to be particularly large. And I understand the pearl crescents are a little larger than the northern.
No, the
a
northern's
rule.
usually larger than the pearl.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I have a really hard time sometime with the females of any of these crescent species, and I just wondered if I know in some of the older books it seemed like there was some controversy over the separating those species, but you're saying that's a done deal.
It's been about 2 decades now, and they've worked it out. Okay, first of all, they worked out with life history studies. A guy named Jim Scott, he did a
Yes.
really wonderful series of papers on life history work, and they're really distinct in life history. And then, the evaluation of where these things are actually distributed instead of where they're purported to be. You read old field guides from Nebraska to, North Carolina. Well, that is nonsense, for something. You need something, way more particular than that. By the time we got to, I say, 2010, it was a done deal completely. It's worse than that. There's like 3 new species altogether that
I
came
see.
out of that complex, right? So
Uh-huh.
we went from 1 species to 4 in basically 2 decades.
I
And Jeff,
see.
don't feel bad. They're hard to tell apart unless you know what you're looking at. And the females can,
Right.
as you say, be very difficult. I had a female crescent spotted gloid seeps north of Moses Lake. A very cool habitat a few years ago when I was on my monarch chase, and I could not tell whether it was a northern or a
Pulchella.
yeah, Pulchella, which is called the field crescent. I just couldn't tell. And I never did. I did not collect it. Had I done so,
Cheryl Boleen and David James both had the same problem. That can happen, except you don't get Pulchella out of the middle of the Columbia Basin.
that was what, yeah, that was why Occam's razor finally stepped in, and
Right.
Mr. Occam said, out there at Gloyd Seeps, it's going to be northern. But I sure couldn't tell. So
Well, see,
don't feel bad.
where Jeff is, he's going to get Pulchella and Cosida the same day, the same place,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you
And-
get
and-
two broods?
And Jeff, this big one you were talking about, was that male or female?
The female.
A female, I
The
believe.
females can be enormous.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was markedly large.
Yeah.
But I got to, I thought, could it possibly be a pearl? Could it I thought, no, but, and I got to looking in some of the field guides and realized, boy, there's quite a bit written about this. And I wonder where the scholarship. Also, the second question I have, and I don't have a picture to go along with this, I understand what we've called the Arctic skipper is now been recategorized as.
Don't ask me to give you the common name on that one.
Well, we did know we came up
Western.
with a good common name for it.
Well, it's the Cardiocephalus scata.
Scotta, yeah, and we're calling it the Scotta
Scotta?
skipper.
Got a
So
skipper.
and those were separated from some European. The true Arctic skippers
Yeah.
are European.
Yeah.
Okay.
Eurasian,
So
yeah.
any of these that we see now, we're going to refer to as Cardiocephalus scata.
Yep.
Scotta, yes.
Do we still
Okay.
call it an Arctic skipper as a common name?
No,
Well-
it's forbidden. You can't do that. You cannot violate. Oh yeah, you can call it what you want.
Oh my
No,
gosh.
Melanie, we've been calling it the Scotta skipper because Arctic skipper is still used for Halema.
Okay, so what is that? Is the Scott?
Skada. I believe it's
Scott, oh,
I
okay,
think it's a
yes,
Native American name.
yes.
They're
I had-
actually
skipper.
checkered
Call
skippers,
it
right?
Scott.
Bob?
Yeah, I
What's
call
that?
it the Scott. Yeah, there you go.
Got it.
I got
Uh,
it. Gotta
Jeff-
call it the Scott.
Britain.
Jeff, can you get your picture back up again for just a
Can
minute?
you put the
Of
gallery up?
the
Gallery.
crescent.
Your
Gallery.
gallery, no, just the
We
gallery.
try. Of the crescent.
No,
The gallery.
the wood
Oh, the
nymph,
gallery. All right, I'll try that too.
because I was curious about your wood nymph.
Here's the
Oh,
Now you got the crescent.
There's a nice crescent.
Well,
right.
that's
That's what I was trying to do earlier.
Very
there
nice.
you go.
Now that's a female northern, I believe.
That kind of looks like it might be a male.
I believe that's a
Yeah.
male.
Now you should be able to toggle
Oh,
right
okay.
or left with your right or left buttons and not have to go from image. You should be able to toggle your arrow buttons.
Jeff, it's pretty heavily marked for a male, yes. But I still
Okay.
think it's a
Okay,
male.
let's see then.
Ooh,
Okay.
Oh dear.
Yeah, yeah. Bauman
say-
Bauman gave me some images earlier, and he was thinking about whether there's another species in the state, and we don't know. I mean, basically, we don't know, and that might be in the
There's
Yeah.
the
There it is.
Lovely
Gotta
picture.
that I was referring to.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Gotta.
Okay,
Gotta
well,
get Scotta.
Beautiful.
those were the two that Bob, do you wanted to see something else?
I'd like to see
Wood
your
nymph.
wood nymph that was in the lower
Wood-
left-hand
wood-
corner. You had a
wood
wood nymph.
What there's a wood nymph. Yeah,
Ooh.
right. That would have been a Great Basin.
Well, that's what you had it labeled as. I'd just like to see it better.
Uh,
Uh,
yeah,
Yeah,
that's what
I
it
guess
is.
so. I guess so, yeah.
I've seen lots of Great Basins this summer here
Good,
in Idaho.
So
good.
how can you tell that from the pergola?
Tell us what you use, Jeff.
Pardon me?
Well,
I'm asking Jeff to tell us what he used.
if you can see both of the ice spots on the forewing, the second ice spot, which would be down, are you seeing my cursor?
Yes,
Yes.
Yeah.
The second ice spot would be slightly smaller than the top ice spot, whereas on the small wood nymph, they're markedly smaller, the second ice spot. And on the common wood nymph, it's the same size or maybe slightly larger.
I see.
Then on the hind wing, it's more of a convoluted line here than the common wood nymph has a smoother transition between the light and dark. That and the size. The Great Basins are almost always somewhat smaller than the commons.
Mhm.
yes,
Thank
and
you.
that's
Curious
very good.
about
And the
that,
other thing
that's
is that on the dark wood nymphs, the small ones, especially
Yes.
when you get the females, that they can almost look like a Great Basin, but that mesial line you were talking about is much more convoluted. It really is zigzag.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think of it, it looks like a mountain range on the
Yeah.
dark wood nymph. And then there's a secondary line closer to the basal area that is noticeable too in them.
Yeah,
So
so
I'll see all three in the same day.
yes. The
That's
other thing is
cool.
that you also
Wow.
get, very often you get some light scaling outside that line,
Yes.
sometimes defined by another line outside that. So it really looks like it has a post-mesial whitish band. It can be quite prominent sometimes, but even there you can see the lighter scaling outside of it.
Yes.
No,
Is-
the thing you're talking about on the smaller wood nymphaetas, we call that lobed because it looks like little lobes instead of being angular. Like this is pretty angular or blocky.
Yes.
On the small wood nymph, dark wood nymph, whatever. This lobed instead of having chunky, blocky aspect, it's rounded, loby. It looks like grapes.
I
You
see.
know, you know what David Droppers calls it? He says he refers to those lobes as two fingers as opposed to a fist.
Yeah, there you go.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Is there any habitat difference or flight period difference between the Great Basin and the small wood nymph?
Well, they're
No,
not absolute, but the Great Basin is more likely in the basin. I mean, it's a butterfly that will penetrate into forest and maybe even to fairly high elevations as long as it's open, or ecotonal. The small won't really get much out into the dry country. You'll find them out there, but they won't penetrate deep. So they have like a preference. The common, man, it'll do a lot of different things. That's a different whole bug, right? None of them are really Arctic, but if there's any, or alpine, if there's any one that gets fairly high, Bob, it would be the dark wood nymph.
Right. Well, yeah, but there is that one record of Pegula, remember, up at on the Whatcom Skagit line up there
Mhm.
near Slate Peak. So even a common can occasionally get a little high.
Well, especially when you have like low point, they will disperse, and you know what? they probably survive sometimes, you know. And you know, if you do something, it's like we were talking earlier, if you do something once and it works, you're gonna do it twice, right? And then over time, you know, like that's how ranges change, right? But I think it's just a remarkable thing that we cut that record of the Whatcom County line, right?
That's right. Christie, I tend to think of the Darkwood nymph as being more generous, as a wider array of habitats it'll use. And it's not called the common wood nymph for nothing. It's the commonest. I mean, it can be really abundant. Whereas I tend to think, and as John says, that the peglet, the common wood nymph or large wood nymph, that can do a lot of different things, from an orchard to, you know, a woodland to a meadow. But the Great Basin, it seems a little more specialized to me. It doesn't seem to
Christie,
really disturb grasslands quite as much as the others. But
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
just
Jeff.
impression.
Christie, you've seen some of the play. You came and visited me. I've seen all three of the wood nymphs in some of those spots on the very same day. So
Okay.
they don't seem to really hear. I can see them within 10 minutes of each other within a few dozen meters.
There's only
Yeah.
one place in Washington where I have ever found all three in the same place on the same day. And that's a place called the Wenaha Grassland on the north side of the Blue Mountains.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And if my records were correct, and you have all the specimens somewhere.
No,
I'm
no,
sorry,
no. That's the only place, though. That's
it's the only place I've ever seen all three.
Huh.
You may have done so more.
Yeah, I don't even think it's that unusual in places. You have to be at the right time at the right place because you know the back end of they all emerge slightly different times too. Like
Well,
the
that's
first
right. So
one out
you got to get where they
is
overlap.
it's a small one, the dark, and so it's first to come, the last to go. So you know if you're gonna get all three, basically the darks are gonna be the kind of the raggedy ones. The common might be like some kind of worn, some kind of fresh. And then the Great Basin are going to be the last ones out, and they're going to be spanking, right? So that's the way it generally works. But yeah, Lake Chelan, 25 Mile Creek, Ramona State Park. I think Cheryl, I think she gets them real close to simultaneous in and around her place.
Okay, well, thanks so much for sharing those. I'm glad it finally worked out, Jeff.
Good.
Carter looks like he wants to ask something.
I just like to say it was awfully nice to meet all of you folks in June and make some new friends. So thank you for having me.
So
It was
glad
great
you
having
joined
you.
us.
Oh,
Yeah.
so we didn't offend you then, huh?
Well, John,
Not yet.
you weren't there, so you couldn't offend me.
There you go. That'd be right. That'd be right. Yes.
So the next person on my screen is Allison. Do you have anything to share with us, Allison?
Yes, I have one. Let's see. This will work.
Uh-oh.
Sharing.
Boy, it worked.
So
I'm
far.
impressed.
Hey,
Oh,
Oh, we
Yay.
see.
this
Wow.
so that's a Hippolyta, right?
well, this was
Could be.
on the Olympic Peninsula up around 4,000 feet,
Oh, okay.
Kind of.
Hinchlifi.
kind of near.
There's no such thing as Hinchlifi.
There is in the book.
Not anymore.
So,
Okay, so this is up at Jefferson County.
yes,
Oh, Mount Townsend.
by Mount Townsend. So I saw Karen Holtrop is on here too, and
Okay.
she was the one who said that there were the silver spots up at Mount Townsend. But I decided since it was the afternoon not to walk the 4-mile steep trail. So I went looking on roads, and this was the fritillary I found.
So it's
Wonderful.
about down by Quilcene
Mm.
Road.
Yes, that Petty
Okay.
Creek Road.
About 4,000, you say?
Yeah.
Very
So
nice.
Spain has been found up there before.
This is great.
Well, this is a traditional place for them. I know Tana and Woody went up looking for them. They're trying to find them in Mason County. We can't figure out why they're not down in Mason County.
It
So
should be.
I missed the ID. What is the ID?
It's Spirea zurini, and
Zerine,
like Bob wants to call them Henschelify, but I'm going to call them Bremnerii. They're just like the prairie things.
Well,
Okay.
little history here. John Hinchliffe was really the first to brought it to a lot of our attention up in Blue Mountain, Deer Park area. And it is somewhat distinctive from the Valley Bremnerii for sure. In fact, it does look quite a bit like the coastal Hippolyta, the endangered Oregon silver spot, now extinct in Washington, target for reintroduction. Witnessed by the fact that John saw it and thought it was Hippolyta. So it is rather a little bit distinctive. I'm not sure that that one shouldn't deserve the name it's been given. I called it Hinchliffe's fritillary in Cascadia, but I did not try to give it a scientific name. And now Paul Hammond, in his massive new fritillary book, in which he's named a lot of new subspecies, no doubt many of them, as John has concluded, not necessary, shall we say. But he named this one Hinchliffi formally. And frankly, that's one I hope John will give further consideration to.
Well, frankly, John's already given it enough consideration. I've synonymized Pili and Pelami as well. So I'm very even-handed.
And I agree with you throwing out Pili and Pelami, but this one I think has legs.
No, it doesn't. As a matter of fact, just because it's patronymed, I love John Hinchliffe. He's my mentor.
That's
but,
not
I
why,
can-
you know that.
What?
That's not why I want to keep it. I just think it's very distinctive from the Valley silver spot.
No, it's not, man. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
How come you called it Hippolyta when it came up on the screen?
Well, because Hippolyta's not that distinctive either, but the WDFW won't let me synonymize it. If it was up to me, Hippolyta would also be a Bremnerii, and then everyone would be pooping all over themselves.
True.
Well,
Well,
that
I'll
is a
just
beautiful
mention that,
photograph, Allison.
There's
That is
also a
great.
population in the Willapa
It's a
Hills.
lovely photo.
Yeah,
Oh, thank
That
you.
is a great photograph.
I
Yeah.
took
Beautiful.
about,
Well, of course, it came to
30.
everlasting, right? And so, like, that's the
Yeah.
number one nectar up there, right?
it's almost the only
Yes.
nectar still going.
there was a few weedy things up there, like some tansy ragwort.
Mm-hmm.
There's some
Oh, yeah.
bumblebees looking at that, but
Oh,
yeah.
Did
That
you
could
see
be a very
any?
valuable nectar plant.
Did you see any Colorado skippers?
Not up there. I'm thinking I saw some little skipper on Hurricane Ridge.
Well, that's probably it, right?
Yeah. And I have some photos somewhere, but this was the only one I had ready to go.
Right.
And by the way,
Okay.
tansy ragwort is a very good nectar plant, and it may well be the reason why the Oregon silver spot survived at Cascade Head and a few other places through the 70s.
It's a
Before-
vile invasive weed.
I know it, and a very important one for butterflies, because the native nectar plants were all gone from Cascade Head, but the tansy was all over, and that provided a stopgap for the fritillaries until they started restoring the native thistles and other nectar plants. So sometimes those invasive weeds, as David James knows very well, for the monarchs in Washington with purple loosestrife, can be very important plants in the absence of natives.
Well, consider Susium arvensi, Canadian thistle.
And bull thistle too.
Well, but I know that, this year, we had a real good start to the painted lady season, and then they petered out. And I think it's because everyone's trying to get rid of that thistle.
Well, we also have Taylor's checker spot on the Olympic, and we've got the plantain. So there's
Yep.
some areas where that's their plant more than the natives.
Right.
That's another example, right? Taylor checker spot is on an invasive plant, and it really can't survive any other way right now.
When of course the island marble is entirely on 2 invasive mustards, except for the one mustard that Tia and I found on by the tide line, found the first record on a native mustard, but it doesn't really use it. There's so little of it, and it's right on the tide line. So what they use, the only reason that butterfly still subsists is the exotic listed noxious 2 species of European mustards that the Park Service now has to basically farm for in order to keep that butterfly.
I like that.
I
Exotic,
do too.
exotic.
Okay, well, thanks a lot, Allison. How about you, Mark? Do you have anything you want to show us? We can't hear you.
Mark, you're muted. There you
That was my wife.
go.
Let's see here.
Hey,
Let me
Mark.
try to pull one up. Does that show up?
Nope.
Not
You look
quite
great
there yet.
though.
And your wife's lovely.
Ah,
Get your photo on the
Okay,
screen,
here-
then
here are
hit
the
share
photos.
screen.
Okay, you're sharing now.
And
I didn't
We
mind
I don't know
see a
what that
gallery.
is.
We
This
see a
little
gallery.
one here, yeah.
photographs.
oh, pick one of those and hit it and see what happens. Oh dear.
It says you are screen sharing.
Yeah, we see a gallery. We see a gallery of photographs. We see a bunch of
Click
photos.
on one of those photos.
Does that show up?
No, can
Are
you
you-
try double clicking?
Are you
Yeah, I
double-clicking?
double clicked. It shows up here.
Yeah, we're not seeing, we just see the gallery.
Well, I don't know what else to do then.
You might have to stop sharing and then start sharing again and just click on the photo.
Instead of the folder.
Yeah.
Oops.
I think somebody tried to improve screen sharing and screwed it up instead.
I agree.
Well, anyway, I'll just tell you, I was more impressed this summer some of the moths I saw
Oh,
with John Bauman. One was the clear wing hummingbird moth. I thought was
Hmm.
impressive
Oh,
looking.
my.
I had a beautiful picture of it right here, but I can't seem to give it to you.
Oh, man, that's too bad.
It is such a cool.
So what?
That was from Antoine Peak when we went up there.
Yeah,
What
Yeah, it
about
was
if
a
you
neat
get
road
out,
trip,
Mark?
even though it
You
was
stop
really cold.
sharing.
stop sharing. Okay.
Open up the photo on your computer so that you can see it full screen and then try share screen again.
Yeah, just open your photo on your screen and then
So you
share,
see it,
right?
and then hit share screen. Try
Oh,
that.
here's share screen.
Yeah. Minimize zoom.
Okay, here it is. Does that show up?
Yeah, beautiful.
Yes.
Nice.
Wow.
Wow.
nice.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay, cool.
How big is that, Mark?
Oh, I would say it was about from wingtip to wingtip. The way the picture sits is probably 1.25 inches.
did you take it off already? Can you put it back?
Oh, I can put it back up.
Yeah, it's a cool moth.
Hey, Mark, you can actually toggle from image to image with your your arrows, your arrow button. So once you get an image up, then you can go up and down the gamut.
Oh, okay.
That's
You know, I find that they never sit still, so you're really fortunate to get such
Yeah.
a beautiful shot.
No kidding.
Yeah.
I kind of
It
thought
was
it
cold.
Yeah.
That's the secret.
Okay, well, I'll try another one here.
The genus is Hemeris, Haemeris. What species is it, John?
It keeps changing. I'm thinking now
Used-
that they're not Thisbe.
Used to be
Not this
Definis, right?
What's
Yeah,
that?
but it's not Definis anymore.
Is it Thetis?
Yeah, that's
Oh,
it.
that's it.
Thetis.
Ours here are Thetis in Montana.
I
Yeah,
think you're right.
that's what we get.
Okay.
Well
You
done.
see, you
No.
made a mistake. You got off the screen. You just toggle your images. You'd be okay if you just once you get that image up, you can just use your arrows, go back and forth.
Mhm.
Okay, so all right, so here's the next one then.
Ooh.
oh, nice.
The black and white or the what you call it, John? The police moth?
Police cars,
Police
yay.
car
Police
moth.
car
Yeah,
moth.
you know what the scientific name is? It's Naphelia.
Ophelia.
Naphelia, yeah. Vermiculata.
A
And-
common name for that is the bluebell tiger moth.
I was
And-
gonna say, I vote for David Dropper's name, Bluebird
Oh.
Tiger Moth.
They-
I was gonna
Bluebell Tiger Moth.
you know what
Bluebell.
birds call it?
What?
Don't
Flush.
eat out puke moth.
That's right. It's
Well,
called
you
Come
bluebell.
on now. Think about that. It's black and white. It's got them orange spots. It's like, don't want to eat me. You really, really don't want to eat me.
plus the orange bits on the thorax.
Orange right here.
too,
Yeah.
But it's called bluebell moth because the caterpillars feed on, oh, help me out here.
Campanula.
Huh?
Campanula.
No, it's not that kind of bluebell. Starts with Nem.
Oh, what did I?
Oh, you were doing so good. Once you get the image up, all you have to do is use your arrows.
Well, what? Well, okay.
Not Menzies, yeah.
What were you talking about? Menziessia,
No,
a bluebell, camas.
no, it's one of the many things that common name bluebell is used for.
Mertensia.
Mertensia, Mertensia.
That's
Thank you.
it.
Thank
Who
you,
said
John.
that? Who said that?
Are mertensias poisonous?
They probably have some toxic elements. Otherwise, yeah, I expect
See,
they
I
do.
didn't know almost everything in the Ranunculaceae is toxic. I mean, we knew aconitum, and that, but I mean, everything else is toxic and things don't eat them. Oops.
I think Mertensia is a borage, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, probably is. Yeah, yeah.
Well, I just wanted to lighten the topic here. Can you see this picture?
We can
No,
see the
because
gallery,
we
just
got
the
the whole
gallery.
folder.
Yeah, I see the folder. Okay, so just click on one of these, right?
No, that didn't work last time.
Ah,
You have to go back to your.
How did you hammer us
See,
before?
once you get an image up, all you have to do, you don't have to do anything except toggle. Use your arrows to move back and forth from one image to the
I know,
other.
but it filled the whole screen, so I couldn't move anywhere with arrow.
Yeah,
Okay.
but the arrow should be
The
there.
arrows are on your keyboard, unless you're using
Okay,
a
well,
laptop.
for now, why don't we go on, because we have limited time, so if you want to try working on that,
Oh.
Mark, we can come back to you.
Okay.
John
I'm getting too
Bauman?
old to wait another year. I'll try it next year, though.
Well, if you want to practice, we can do a practice, just let me know, Mark. And
Oh, okay.
I'll work with you on that.
All right.
John Bauman, how about you? Do you have anything to share?
I was bold enough to put together a PowerPoint because I had so much trouble sharing photos last year,
Uh-huh.
but it's got like 12 photos, so
Well,
I
show
don't want to
'em.
wear out my welcome.
Show 'em,
How about
show
if I
'em,
go
show 'em.
last?
Show pictures, show pictures.
Whatever
show
you
Yeah.
want.
Oh, good.
No more talking.
All
just
right.
photos.
So, let me go to my share screen here and show you what we have. What are you seeing now?
Nothing. Share screen. Sharing screen.
There we go.
We see a hair, a greenie.
Are you
Yeah,
seeing
green.
an Affinis hair streak?
Yes, it is.
All right.
It's a beauty.
I started out my season with Mary Shue and a trip to a Douglas Canyon, place that Sister Sue Orlowski had found for us, and I'd never been to. And this was one of the little gems of our morning and early afternoon there.
Very
So
nice.
very rich habitat. I really recommend it.
Where is it, John?
It is a Douglas Creek, flows right out of Douglas through Douglas County down towards
Moses
what is it?
Cooley.
Oh, yeah.
Moses. Yeah.
So is
And
it
I can
parallel to
peg it for you on a map. But it's a cool place for a lot of reasons. This bluff here above the creek had, I'll try to go to the next slide here.
You
Does
might
that
just
start
be-
Waterville?
Use your arrow.
Yeah, now so here's
Ah,
a little
that's our time.
euphalotes on thymoides
Yeah.
that we want to see. I showed this to Merrill Peterson, and he's interested in going out to check out
Yeah.
what's going on with these little guys. Wondered if you guys wanted to speculate about that.
Well, we already know. We just can't tell you.
All right.
It's going to be a surprise.
There's no
Cool butterfly, cool plant.
Preliminary,
I mean, this is a totally cool, and having them up at Douglas. Now, I gotta tell you, the first buckwheat blue I ever caught was I was 14 years old in 1965, and it was at Douglas,
Yeah,
and it was this butterfly, and
Mm.
All right.
it distorted my whole view of buckwheat blues forever, because I thought that the Bedoides group buckwheat blues, like with our Heracleoides and all the ones we all know, I thought that these were the normal ones, and those other ones were the weird ones. But it turns out these are the weird ones. So you're getting this. I heard about this, by the way. So you're getting this was a real breakthrough. I think this is cool.
great picture.
Yeah. That buckwheat, isn't that a cool plant, man?
It really is.
It
It's well
is.
done.
And they are abundant. That's just this whole hillside is covered with them above the creek.
That's kind of the
So-
idea, you know.
It'd be a good field trip.
So John,
Ah,
would you say that Douglas Canyon is parallel to Tichenor Canyon? Because that is right near there
no,
too.
Tichenor Canyon empties into Douglas Canyon.
Oh, okay, there we go.
And I want to show you one more resident of the same canyon. Here is, yeah, it's a lousy photo, but we don't see these much.
No, I
And
know they
this is
really
the first
should.
one I've actually seen in Washington State.
You're
Are you
kidding.
kidding me?
The not so common city wing.
John, they used to be common in Spokane alleys.
And I can't find them anymore.
I know
Never have found them.
they've really gone down.
Well, I don't know, because every time I go looking where their food plants are, they're all over the place.
Mm.
And the food
You know,
plants
the
are, yeah.
Vista, you know, over Dry Falls, you know, that overlook.
Sure.
Yeah, you take that path down, like you're gonna go down to the lake, all the way down there, all along, there's Chenopodium fremontii that grows there. You'll find hundreds of larvae on them
Wow.
every time.
Interesting. Sun Lake
Every
State
time.
Park, yeah?
Well, you know, like no, it's I think like that. I don't know. I don't want. It's a state park that lets us do butterfly research
Nice.
because we found the Yuma there.
That's a female.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Anybody know why?
Why it's a female?
Well, I know you know, John.
Is it the spots? More spots?
Yeah.
That's right. More and bigger spots.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I thought you were gonna get into genetics. Why is it a female?
so the next trip we had was the first Spokane field trip that we've had in 5 years.
Wow.
And here's a young woman, Summer is her name, that Haley brought along. She is great at recruiting people through her workplace.
What a great picture.
They're all going to be WABA members where she works.
That's
It's
great because they're all younger.
Hey,
So Antoine Peak was a lot of fun, but it was cold. This is during one of the few sunbreaks we had. We saw about 5 Anna swallowtails. A lot of the other butterflies were more sparse. There was like one painted lady, one Asher's blue, and lots of sulfurs, and this little guy.
Nice.
So I had
picture.
these are not especially rare in Spokane County, but you have to kind of go to where their little colonies are. And this
Yeah.
just happens to be a new one that we hadn't found before.
Gorgeous. Well done.
Nice.
yeah, they got a good name, Bossy.
Yeah.
Name for a guy named Moss, but it's very often in mossy balds.
Yep.
So let's move on. Haley, I also give her a lot of credit for getting us out to Steptoe Butte this summer. Lots of fun. There were about a dozen species we saw up there, and many of them swallowtails, a huge swirl of butterflies here. It was June 22nd at the top of the mountain. And the
Oh,
Calliope fritillaries were just going crazy. You
Yeah.
would see chains of these things swirling around your head or just moving across the bluff. I've never seen anything like this before.
what is the attractant in that picture?
A female.
It must be.
There must be one in the middle. You can't really, well, maybe that's her right here behind.
Yeah. Well done. John, how many species of painted ladies did you see up there?
You know what? I don't think we saw any.
Okay.
That is actually, you're anticipating my next screen. Um, I have had terrible time with any kind of ladies this year.
Yeah, me too. Well,
We
everybody's
saw
heard me say it.
Spokane.
Yeah. Everybody's heard me say it over and over. But
You've been here
Steptoe is the one place that I saw all
Have
four
you seen them this year?
painted ladies at the same time.
And we were hoping to reenact that, but
Yes,
it
of
didn't
course.
happen. This photo is from Ragged Ridge, which is that little oval out of that peninsula shape extending down from Mount Spokane State Park in the map on the right-hand side of the screen. And until about 3 hours ago, this is the only West Coast lady I saw all summer. But another one actually appeared for me on Mount Spokane Summit just today.
Wow.
So anyway, I made kind of a survey of this spot. It's called Ragged Ridge. It's an extension of Mount Spokane State Park that's just as a nature preserve. And here are some of the other
Ooh, that's a-
butterflies that have emerged from there. This is, to my thinking, maybe kind of a weird Compton because it was showing up at an elevation of like 4,000 feet. This is on a early blooming phlox.
So this is early in the year?
Pardon me?
This was early in the year?
Yeah, this goes back to about May 28th, I think, or June 5th.
Yeah,
So,
June 5th, because May 28th was Antoine Peak.
right.
no, that was in April.
Oh, that was April 28th, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm pretty sure this the Compton was in end of May. The common alpine there on the right was beginning of June or middle of June.
You never gotten them up there before? The Compton?
No, I have not.
Well, all of our tortoiseshells are a little bit strange, right? They're kind of unique to themselves. Milburdi got its own thing. California got its own thing. Morning cloaks, every one of them does something a little different. They all diapause as adults, but what they do over the course of a season is actually sometimes radically different. This is the one we don't know very much about, except that it can explode. You know that. Sometimes it can be so abundant that it's the only butterfly you see. We had
Compton?
a lava field trip once up to Medellin in that region, and they were just everywhere.
John, when you say that, how many do you mean? Not like California's, surely.
No, they were as common as California, where
Hundreds of them, thousands?
oh yeah.
Oh my God.
I've heard tell of that. Was that on Slate Creek Trail or Slate Creek Road, I think? Yeah.
There was a road coming out of Tiger Meadows and then coming down back to Medellin. I can't remember. Harvey Creek Road, maybe? No, it's a different one. It's not Harvey Creek, but it's the other road that comes from Tiger Meadows and comes into Medellin from the backside. And we went back there the next year, and no, we didn't
That's
see
too
any. So I mean, they do that. They explode. By the way, California tortoiseshells were not very common earlier this year, and in the last month or so, they've been reported widely everywhere. So
they're going crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know what's with that. I mean, when I was growing up, not to say I ever did, but when I was growing up, these would have periodic explosions and almost near absences, right? And then they became like mostly common for periods of time, maybe uncommon. But we've only had a break of about a year and a half since the peaks of 2022. So I'm not sure, what's going on, but they seem to be building in numbers again.
John Bauman, I have two questions for you.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
First of all, when you said that there were only two high naturalist reports for the West Coast lady, do you mean two in Washington? Or
In
two?
Washington.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. And the other question is, on Ragged Ridge, where I always wanted to go and never got to, did you see any Lonicera, either Utah-ensis or the other one, the twinberries?
Involucrata.
I did not.
Involucrata, right? Because I've
No.
always thought that that would be a darn good place to look for Gillette's checker spot in Washington.
Well, I intend to spend more time up there. I've been up there now 5 times this season, and I'm definitely planning to go back next summer as well. If anyone wants to join me, get in touch. It'd be a fun place to have some companions with more nets and cameras and knowledge.
Well, do watch
So,
for twinberries, both species.
yeah, that's a good idea. So one of the other oddities, though, is there have not been a lot of alpines seen this year, and I threw that in because of that. But this is also a locality for Sheridans.
Oh,
Nice.
pie, right?
Yep. Oh, yeah, and then here is I took Haley in summer up there, and here she is getting out all the artillery to get a picture of you can barely see it in that photo. It's a Parnassian, mountain Parnassian.
yeah.
I think this is the last stronghold of the mountain Parnassian in Spokane County.
Really?
There's
Wow.
old records from up above Eiler Creek where we used to get some surveys from, oh gosh, his name slips my mind, the
Oh,
great
Tom
conservation.
Tom
Hmm?
Rogers.
Tom Rogers, yeah, that's it. But I don't think anybody's been able to replicate those records with this butterfly.
Oh,
Here's where I attempted a trip to see some monarchs and ended up with Coronis flitterlary at Sun Lakes.
They
Just this
coming
past
back.
weekend. And there's my Vanessa Annabella again.
2 hours
Right.
ago. That's great.
That's from just 2 hours ago at the very
Wow.
peak of Mount Spokane.
Wonderful. Very nice, John.
Oh, that's
So
very
that's
nice.
all I got for you, folks.
No,
Thanks
wait a
for
minute.
Ah,
That's
that's
with
cool.
me.
That's wait. That's
What?
on the peak.
Yeah, this is right by the radio station, all the gear up there where they've
And
got knapweed and crap.
Yeah, I hope everybody notices what the nectar plant is.
And
You're
then
on the
basically
peak of Mount Spokane, and
we
the
need to
nectar plant is knapweed.
we need to wipe it out, man.
Yeah, it kills other plants, I know.
Sure, but if it weren't there, you wouldn't have that picture.
Exactly.
Okay, thanks very much, John.
Anyway, I yield the floor. Thank you, folks.
Well
Okay,
done.
great. So the next person on my screen is Carter. Do you have anything for us, Carter?
Yeah, I'll try and pull up some things. I was late because I just got back from 8 days in Olympic National Park where I work. And I had the chance to visit a really interesting place. It's the center of Olympic National Park in the Upper Elwha.
Oh,
It's
wow.
an open area called Boston Bog.
Oh, man.
So in the middle of some of this Doug fir rainforest is over 1,200 years old, or sorry, yeah, 1,200 years old Doug fir forest. There's this opening of spirea and sedge surrounded by crabapple, and it's probably 5-acre meadow. And
Wow.
I had never been out there. it was full of hornets. At this time of the year, the hornets are very aggressive, and so I was scared out there moving through a head-high spirea. But first a blue went by me, and I didn't see it again. It was the middle of the afternoon, everything was moving so fast. But then I got some photos of a silver spot I want to show you, because just like the Bremners we were looking at earlier, I saw the silver, and I'd love to talk to people about what it is, because it was at 2,000 feet in the valley bottom instead of being at 5,000 feet.
Oh,
Well, 2,000 feet isn't exactly valley bottom either. It's not sea level.
Well, that's true, but it was right next to the river.
Yeah.
Okay, we see that you're.
So let
okay,
me
we
see
see
if I
it.
can switch between. Okay, so that's skipper. Let me see if I pull that. That's not the right one.
Well, that's a good butterfly.
Dueling Sylvanoides.
yeah.
Is that what you call it? Dueling?
I think that, yeah, they were doing something together. Okay, there it is. Okay, what would you call that?
Wow.
The
That
Hippolyta.
really does look like Bremnerine.
That looks more like Hippolyta.
No,
Bremner
it doesn't.
looks more like
Can't agree on.
Isn't that a
That looks
Hydaspes?
more like Bremnerine.
no, it looks like Hippolyta. And
No,
Bremner is
because-
much more dark chocolate. It's more like the ones that we looked at that we saw earlier.
Balderdash. The Hippolyta is darker in the disc, and it's got a
No,
and
you
it's
gotta look
got a
at
broader
you gotta
yellow.
look at the lectotype. I've looked at the type, man. I know what it looks like.
It's also got a broader submarginal band than that.
Are those spots silvered?
Yeah.
Yes, it looks just like a Bremnerine from.
They were
Milano.
strikingly silvered. I
Yeah.
had never seen. I'd always been, so the silvering was always a questionable field mark to me. I would say, is it, isn't it? And this one, I will say it brought me to tears. It was so silvered in
Yeah.
the
Well,
I know
Carter, didn't you tell me you got these up higher, like Blue Mountain or Obstruction? No, you got them at Obstruction Peak, right?
yeah, I did get them at Obstruction Point earlier this summer. And I had some great photos of that. But this I think is notable because I mean it's surrounded by old growth rainforest, and it's probably 5 miles from the ridge lines where I would expect to see the silver spots. So this could be, I mean, it's very disjunct in the Olympics from the places where you would expect to see the other silver spots on these
Well-
high open ridge lines. This is at the bottom of the Elwha in the middle of old growth rainforest.
So Carter, there are a couple of remnant sites in the Willapa Hills south of the Chehalis from there. A much lower elevation, a couple thousand feet on Balfa Peak and the highest peak in the Willapa, and then again in the upper Elokaman River. Excuse me, where I have found Zerini. There's only 3 records ever from the Willapa Hills. And they look a lot like this, and they are again lower elevation than the ones up at Deer Park and Blue Mountain. It's almost as if they're sort of a transitional population between the Hinchliffe Fritillary, if you want to call it that in quotes, and the Hippolyta down at the coast. This is thrilling. We've been waiting to get records from the middle of the Olympics for a very, very long time. This is very exciting that you got in there.
What this really means is now we
That's
can take
beautiful to
it.
hear. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'll just follow up to Bob and say that yeah, I'm late to butterflies, but I am doing my best to catalog from the deep center of the park and to find the places where we might find disjunct populations.
Well,
And,
hallelujah,
and-
hallelujah. We've been, I tried to get up in there many years ago, can't do it anymore. Nobody ever got closer than high divide and low divide. Nobody has ever crossed all the way across the Enchanted Valley with a butterfly net. I tried once and got driven out by the flies. But I mean, we've been waiting for a person to get in there for decades and decades.
Cool butterfly.
Yeah, I'm doing my best.
Did you find
I'm doing
anything
my
else in there?
best. And like
So-
I said, I would love to hear your theories. There was a blue, it was small, and it was I was surrounded by spirea, but as soon as I saw it, it was gone. It was
Azure,
small, but I
Carter.
wasn't able to,
Carter, it was an azure.
azure.
Well, wait. When was it?
It was
What
just a couple
day?
days ago. I just got back from the trip
Oh.
now. It
Yeah,
was,
probably second
it
generation.
was,
azure.
yeah, the 1st of September,
Yeah, it'd be second.
or it was
generation.
actually the 31st.
And you were in a field of spirea?
Yeah, it was spirea and a sedge, largely.
They ain't gonna eat that sedge, but boy, they'll eat that spirea in a minute.
Yeah, that's right. Both
So,
the adults and the larvae.
Do you know the name of? Yeah,
Sorry, the name of what?
I'll go back and I'll get. What is it nectaring on in this photo? I just haven't
Oh.
figured out the name of this
That's
this
a
nectar
native plant. That's probably either an erigeron, a townsendia, or an aster.
Yeah, it's probably past
Okay,
its
yeah.
prime.
It was
And of course-
past its prime, but it was the only nectar source left. Seemingly, nothing was touching. Yeah, it was going back and forth between a couple of these.
Yeah,
it was
asters, of
swimming
course,
on.
have different genus names now, but it's either an aster sensu lato or a townsendia, possibly an erigeron.
Mhm.
okay, I don't know if you have any others to share, Carter, but I just want to ask Karen if she would unmute and just mention what she has found, and then we'll get to her slides next.
Thanks, Carter. That was very cool.
Leave that up, Carter, if you would.
So yeah,
Yep.
I was just putting in the chat that so I will have Zarine Fritillary, at least what I think is in mine also. So Allison had one at 4,000 feet in the Olympics, and Carter, this was at 2,000, and then mine will be at 3,000. So we have all of those elevations, but yeah, I've mostly seen Zarine flying higher up, and so, and where I went and found one this year, I think I saw one. They're high. There's lots of high days there, and so
Sorry, lots of
that's what I
what?
thought it was at first.
Lots
But
of
we'll
what?
get to that picture in a minute.
I'm sorry, Karen, you said there's lots of what there?
High day speed.
Oh, Hydaspes, yeah.
High days.
Right.
Fritillary.
Hydaspi.
Yeah, high Daspy.
I
Hydaspes.
understood you.
Yep.
Okay, before we move on to your slides, Karen, do you have some others that you wanted to show Carter?
No, I gave them
I-
all
I-
to you.
No, I was asking Carter if he has
Oh.
another one he wanted to show before before I bring yours up, Karen.
No, this is the one I was most excited about. And
Okay.
I'm looking forward to sharing more about my work. Hopefully at a talk this winter. I've been a reach permit. I've been doing this for the last couple of years. So
Good.
Okay, so
I'll
you're
talk more
interested
about it
in-
some other meeting.
Okay, that sounds great.
I would like to jump in to say thank you to Carter I mean, he has submitted like hundreds upon hundreds of records to iNaturalist for Washington Lepidoptera. I mean, it's a very thorough study you're doing.
Well, he's working almost
Thank you for
entirely
bearing.
in the Olympics too, right?
Yes. And my goal is to go to the places that are hard to get to. So the places that everywhere besides Blue Mountain and Hurricane, pretty much. So
All right.
I'm doing my best to get host plants and emergence times for the middle of the park.
Bravo.
Thank you so much for saying that, John.
Okay.
Invite us on over for
coming
a
up on
field trip
thousands at
next
this point.
summer, eh? That'd be cool.
I would
Okay.
love to. I would love to.
Great.
So Carter,
Yeah,
could
let's
you
do
put
it.
your email in the chat so I can contact you about
Yes, of course.
Yes, okay, that would be great.
I'm
All
gonna
right,
stop sharing now.
that sounds great. And then, let's see if I can bring up, Karen's slides.
While she's doing that, Karen, may I ask you, where was your 3,000-foot find of Zerini?
And the Dungeness on the 2870 road in the forest. Yeah,
Wonderful.
if you know, so up there by Tyler, kind of by Tyler, below Tyler Peak.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay.
There we are.
I've got Karen's photos right here. So here's your first one, Karen.
There you go.
So this is actually was at the same location I was just talking about. Yeah, on the 2870 road, 33,000, about 3,000 foot elevation. There were a whole bunch, Bob was right that there's a lot of woodland skippers this year. There were a whole bunch of woodland skippers. And then we saw this, and I'm thinking that it is what we call the Hulbert skipper, which is a subspecies of common branded skipper.
You got your
got it.
mind right. You're right.
Okay,
Nice female, well done.
Yep.
okay, so,
Okay.
and then, we're going over to actually, I'm usually in the Olympics, but I took a little trip 4th of July. And so this is over in the Gifford Pinchot National Forest, just kind of near Mount Adams, you know, along the Forest Service Road that goes between Randall and Trout Lake. So
Yep.
it's not alpine, subalpine, but it's middle elevation. And of course, I saw these flying around and I'm thinking, oh, a Coronis fritillary. But then I thought, could it be something else?
Yeah.
Calipe or not?
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
You got it again.
2 for 2.
Yep.
Nobody's keeping score though.
So are they very common? Are those not very common? And it seems like
They're
there's
far
one.
less common than the Coronas. That's for
Depends
sure.
on where you are, you know, like it's spotty, but in some places it can be really common.
Okay.
Yeah, but they're never all over the place the way Coronas is in the summer.
Yeah, nothing like Coronas, right?
Okay.
And you know, in case people are wondering, let's point out a couple of field marks. One of them is that the lower part of the forewing that you see there is distinctively pink, not pink like a American lady, which is the pinkest pink in nature, I think, but it's pinker than it is orange. See what I mean? Almost a painted lady pink. And then the underside of the hind wing can be, not always, but can be quite greenish. And then the outer row of silver orbs are particularly orb-like and big and full, and you can generally see them showing through on the upper side as well, even on a fresh butterfly. So those are some of the things you watch for in Calliope. I also think of Calliope as having quite a squared off wing. The general shape of it is not as elongated and triangular in the forewing as as of course it's triangular, but not as much as in the Cronus or the Zerini. It's really kind of a square, compact shape to it. In my eyes, anyway.
Thanks.
Okay, here's your next one.
So this is also taken in the same place I was just talking about on the Gifford Pinchot on
Really?
July 4th.
All
And
right. Was there
these are
red cedars around?
yeah, so
Okay.
Cedar Hair Streak is what you're
Yeah.
thinking?
Right?
Okay. Thank
Right.
you.
This
Yeah.
goes back in 1,000 here.
That's a good record right there.
Yes, it is.
Well, and that, yeah, I tried to, that's not a great photo, but I tried to include things that maybe might be interesting. I don't know.
It does the job.
It's a
Okay.
great photograph because we can identify it.
Yeah.
So long
Okay.
as you got the full data for it, that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Okay, here's your next one.
So this isn't a great photo either, but this, so I'm thinking Western Pine Elfin, and I
Right.
usually see them more south. So this was in the Dungeness, the
Oh,
far
yeah.
north end of the Ranger District. Canyon Creek, which goes into the Dungeness. Actually,
Wow.
do you know where Slab Camp Trailhead is? That's where it was. Slab
Hmm.
Camp, Slab Camp
I
Beach
I
Trailhead.
can't. I don't have my my files up right now to tell you, but that might be a county record. That's Clallam County, right?
Yeah, it's Clallam.
Uh-huh.
I think
It might be.
there have been some
It might
that I've
be.
noticed, but I don't know if they were verified, like an iNaturalist or somewhere, I want to
Well, I
think.
haven't done all of that either, so I mean, I may be, maybe wrong, but it's not common in Clallam County. I know that.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's not
Karen,
common up there, and so, yeah, so that's
So I'm
why.
assuming the pine there, Karen, would be lodgepole.
Yeah, there's some white pine. In fact, there's a bunch of pine that were planted in
Oh,
that
wow.
area, but
Well-
they're not very old, the
I'll
pine.
tell you a funny story. This
Yeah.
butterfly is capable of finding little patches of pine trees. One time I was on a nature conservancy field trip when I worked for them 1,000 years ago. In the desert country north of Ritzville, there's a butte up there. It's a TNC preserve. Forget what it's called, something Butte. Magnuson Butte. Does anyone know that place? John, do you know that?
Yeah, yeah,
I think, is it, what county is it in? Grant, maybe?
yeah, I think it is, Grant.
I think it's Grant County. And there on Magnuson Butte, there's some nice swales full of waterfalls blues and this, that, and the other. And then there was a patch of planted ponderosas by the ranch house. And I was just poking around up there, and a western pine elfin flies out of it. The nearest place you'd expect to find it is 20 or 30 miles north on the plateau, dropping down into the canyons that run down toward the Columbia down there in the Colville country, where there's a lot of ponderosas. But this is quite a ways from there. And somehow some gravid female pine elfin found that patch of planted pines. So this one might be on those planted pines you saw, or the white pines too.
Okay, thanks.
Any pine.
After all these years, I have to confess, Bob, I planted them there for you.
Thank you, John. It worked.
Yeah.
So this one is what we call the Straits Acmone Blue. It's a segregate that flies along, the beaches of Strait of Juan de Fuca near
Wow.
Good for
just,
you.
just north of Squam is where I got this by the beach.
And
So
this is
Straits
late.
Acmone Blue.
How long ago was this?
And this was May 20th.
So it's
20th.
early.
So they're like late spring
Yeah,
butterflies.
yeah.
Um,
They
So,
have a
yeah.
second brood though.
No,
Do
they
they?
don't.
Yeah, yeah.
I've not heard that, John.
We documented
I didn't think Ann had any.
It's
Well, anyway, that's good if it does.
that's great.
Karen,
I try to go out there every year now.
was this a known site,
Yeah, it was known before.
one that
Yeah.
Ann found?
What's that?
One that Ann found? Ann Potter?
I'm not sure who originally found it, but it was WDFW more recent folks
Right.
that
Lots
have.
So-
of, lots of black, knotweed there?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, not in this picture, obviously, but yeah, there is.
Was
If
there
people don't
lots of
know,
was
just
there
for
lots
people's,
lots of salt spray there too?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, when you get like, can you imagine a gale in the Straits,
mm,
and that whole area is getting doused with salt water?
Uh-huh.
It's like not a place that you really think butterflies would live,
Yeah. Yeah,
but
no.
it does.
if
Isn't
people
it?
don't know, this butterfly is one of the most interesting in the state and one of the rarest, and it doesn't even have a name, and it's not distinguishable from, apparently, from Acmon blues, say in California. But
Huh.
it's one of only a very small number of records of Acmon blues in the west side of the state. And Ann Potter found these in
Okay.
her grassland survey she was doing years ago, the same set of series of surveys that led to the finding of the island marble by John Fleckenstein.
Mhm.
When they were going around looking for things, and she found this thing down on the Straits of Juan de Fuca on black knotweed, which looks like an Eriogonum, but it's a knotweed.
And Bob, she was looking for Taylor checker spots.
That's right. And finds this whole new thing. And it's utterly distinctive ecologically,
Yeah.
very rare and very cool.
There are checker spots near there, you know, at Gray's
Right.
Marsh. Over the fence at Gray's Marsh, you can look across and see some sometimes. Can't go in there, but.
Right.
And then
Cool
of course
picture.
up in the forest, yeah. Um,
Well done.
okay, so let's see. So
Okay.
the next one, so here's what mine, I think. So this is the one I was talking about earlier, Dungeness,
Yeah.
about 3,000 or 3,100
Now,
foot
those are
elevation.
silver, are they?
Huh?
Those are really silver?
Yeah, those are silver. That's a Zerini.
Yes.
Okay, well, that's what I
That
want
looks
to
more like the
confirm.
Hinchlify.
That looks more like a what?
The Hinchlify. See the broader yellow?
You should look at
submarginal-
look. You got the book yet? You look at the images. You're gonna see that's not true.
Now, the one that Carter showed, the disc is a lighter red, and the submarginal band is thinner, and it runs out almost like Aphrodite does.
Bob,
I'm telling you, there's two different things here, John.
who's caught more Hinchlify than anyone? You're talking to him, all right?
Who rediscovered Hippolyta in Washington? John, let's not do this. We've been doing this for 60 years.
And you always lose. Why you do it?
So what's the conclusion?
I believe it's Hinchlif's Fritillary.
What, Fritillary?
Well, I called it Hinchliffe after John Hinchliffe, who discovered it.
Remnerai?
Bob, first of all, John Hinchliffe didn't discover it.
Well, he's the one who
Dan
really brought
Carney
it to it.
did.
Who did?
Dan Carney.
Well, he didn't tell anybody about it. Hinchliffe brought it to our attention.
Well, he told me
Very-
about it, and I went up and got it before John did.
Okay,
So-
well, you didn't tell anybody about it.
So
Anyway,
is it
Karen, it
Zerini?
is Zerini. Zerini
Okay,
for sure.
Zerini. Okay.
I called it Hinchliffe's in Cascadia, and it's since been formally named to that. But John, who is the keeper of the National Catalog, Continental Catalog, does not accept the name. So take your pick. It's a Zerini Fritillary.
Thank
sure.
you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to a couple more that I have teed up here. So this is from Patricia. Can you unmute Patricia and talk about this photo?
Whoa.
Patricia, are you with us?
You gotta unmute, Patricia.
Okay, well, while she's figuring that out, I'm gonna go on.
Okay, are you there?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're here.
Okay. Is David James there?
We have a lot of distortion in your audio.
Oh, he might.
We really can't understand you. Can you put something in the chat? Because there's so much distortion, we can't understand anything you're saying.
Not enough bandwidth.
He's up on Orcas Island.
Yeah. Well, if you put something in the chat while I move on, then we'll try to address it. Is that okay, Patricia?
I'm talking on my iPhone in my.
Okay, we can't hear anything now.
For a second, we heard you clear.
For just a moment, we heard you really clearly, silence, and then more distortion.
Mm-hmm.
Can you put something in the chat, Patricia?
Well, if you can hear me,
Okay.
if you can hear me, I can tell you what it is.
Okay, sure, go ahead, David.
Patricia
Paulette,
and I have been talking
can
about.
you read what I wrote you in the text in the
I will try to do that.
This is a Lord Quinn Admiral winter shelter. Patricia's rearing some larvae, and they're both, two of them, I think she's got, and they're just creating shelters for overwintering. So yeah, I get photographic updates every few hours.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
she actually pointed out a mistake in Dave and I's book where we say they overwinter in
Well,
second instar, and her
can you hear me?
larvae
Oh, there's
are
David. He can
third
tell you.
instar.
David, say what the instar correction is again, please.
Well, in the book we say second instar, but these are third instar. And it turns out that when we wrote the book, I think we used Chris Guppy's information. And there's an earlier paper that said that they overwintered in the second instar. And I don't think we actually overwintered them. We just reared them, directly. And so we got that wrong.
Oh, he goes to third instar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which, like the Viceroy, they do third instar too. So makes sense.
Okay,
And
so Patricia also had a question. I don't know if you have spoken about this, David, but spoken with Patricia about it, but she's asking if anyone's raised a Lorquin's admiral from the egg and if it left the hibernaculum open as it's shown in the photo, or if it silked it tightly closed.
Right. Well, I haven't done that. And that's one of the things that we're watching. There are pictures, I think, from Chris Guppy where he shows the hibernaculum closed. Bob might know. I mean, have you seen, I know Todd Stout finds hibernaculum of Viceroys and Lorquins quite commonly. And I think they're closed. And I assumed this would be closed. But then again, somebody said that they're left open. Well, yeah, I found a paper earlier today, a very old paper, well, 1988, so I guess not that old, where they talk about them being left open. So we'll find out. I guess Patricia will find out whether this one, because this one's just been created, the hibernacular, so he hasn't actually finished. He goes in and then he comes out and feeds and goes back in again. So he's using it as a domicile at the moment. And I think eventually he'll go in and put a lid on, but we'll find out.
My observations of hibernaculi from December to February are that they block the end of the hibernaculum with the larval head capsule. So when you actually find them, like we mostly find them on, it's fine, this what Carter just talked about it a minute ago. Celestina food plant.
Spirea.
Yeah, spirea. In the wintertime, they really are conspicuous on spirea. So we'd find them, and every single one of them had the opening of the hibernaculum plugged by the larval head. So they back end and they use their head as a plug. So it's open, but it's plugged by the head.
Okay, so it's a living caterpillar head is the lid.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We'll see if that happens.
Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Okay, well, sorry we couldn't connect, but David, thank you for stepping in and clarifying, and you too, JP.
David, can you point out a little more of what we're actually seeing here?
But my cursor doesn't show, obviously.
Oh,
okay. Right in the center there, you can
Right
see
here?
a circular, hole. That's the opening, and you can just, I think the lava's inside. You can just about see a little bit of it, and then you can see the silk going down. So actually, this one's it's made a lot of silk.
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Rather than I mean, there's a leaf in there somewhere, and that's the
a lot
other
more
thing.
silk than I
The leaf
remembered.
they chose was tiny. They'd eaten most of it, and then what was left, they made the hibernacular from what was left. So
Yeah,
they did have to use a lot of silk because there wasn't much leaf left.
Well, they have to use silk to hold the hibernaculum to the plant.
Right, to actually tether it to the tree, right?
but this picture looks like it's actually a cocoon.
Yeah, it does. It's
Interesting.
It doesn't look at all like the Viceroy hibernaculi I remember. Oh,
Okay, I'm gonna move on
It's-
and go ahead.
It's a Lorquin's Admiral though, right? You knew that?
Yeah.
Lorcan's
Yeah.
Admiral, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so I don't know if Todd
Thank you,
Wildermuth is with
Patricia.
us, but he sent a couple photos and he's gonna look at the recording and was just hoping to get some IDs,
Do
so.
we know where it's
Whoa.
from?
This is one that he says, you can't even see the body, but he was hoping that somebody might be able to ID it.
But
There's
where is
only
it?
one thing that looks like that.
Well, it depends on where you are. Where's it from?
I don't remember that he said.
Well, if it's from Washington.
Yes, I think
Right.
so.
Come on, Bob. What is it?
Well, it's this ceanothus or red silk moth, Hyalophora
Urialis.
Urialis. Yeah, but if it's the color looks more like Hyalophora gloveri from
Well-
the Great Basin.
You went through some to get there. I think the color's mostly been lost on that, sweetheart.
Probably. But that gray brown is pretty characteristic of gloveri.
Okay, he said that he found this, just this carcass, so he was just curious
Well,
about.
do you know where he is?
He may have sent it in the email, but I'm I'm not sure I can find it at this moment, so
Okay.
I don't know. And this one?
Everybody know that?
I would say hoary.
What's a hoary?
That's as green as a green comma can be. I think.
Gracilis. Well, but I think his color is off.
No,
And
that's
I'm
that's-
seeing those circular, the
Green
spots in there.
yeah.
No, it's the color of the green spots. The hoary is hoary zephyr. Is that gracilis? No,
Gracilis, yes, it is.
gracilis faunus,
Yes.
gracilis zephyrus. The color is a chartreuse. It's not the blue green. Blue green is the faunus, the green color.
I've never seen, I've never seen it this kind of brown green or
But
gray
it's
green.
very prominent for sure. Very
It's a
fresh.
beautiful fresh butterfly.
Yeah,
Very raggedy edges.
Nice photo too, yeah.
and it's very gray for a faunus.
Yeah. Well, if you look at his finger, I think the color is off.
Oh, I think you're right. Either
That
that or
could
you're
be.
dead.
That's what I was going on.
Okay, and here's Todd's final.
That's a dorsal of the same butterfly.
Yes.
Oh, yes, there's the finger.
So if that were gracilis, those spots would be all run out and,
Yeah.
yeah, or gracilis.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's all I have teed up right this moment. Melanie sent me some, but I'm not sure I can pull them up quickly but if somebody else would like to share, Christy, Carol, Jim, David, any of you?
Yeah, I've got a few I'll show. I mean, surprisingly, the ones I'm going to show, nobody's actually shown yet, so I guess I should show them. If I can. Oh, are you seeing my screen?
Yes.
Oh, good. I did what John did and put it into PowerPoint.
There you go.
Clever.
Nice.
That's
Okay.
pretty.
So, yeah, one of my favorite butterflies, the Mormon metal mark that rarely see. And just last weekend, I found a big colony not far from where I'm sitting now, very close to Waterworks Canyon, near the junction of Highway 12 and 410. It's along by the river. And I saw about 25, 30
Wow.
in a small area,
Wow.
all
Nice.
associated with microthecum, Eriogonum microthecum.
Yep.
So I rushed back to the book to see if we Dave and I had said that as a host plant. We didn't, so another mistake. But I see that in Bob's book, he did mention microthecum as a alternate host plant, as a buckwheat host plant for them. So, and just to show how many there were, I mean, to get a picture of actual copulation was
Yes,
that was really cool.
that's fabulous.
And because most places you find them, and I have seen quite a few this year already, you usually just see one or two. So to actually see, 25 to 30 is quite something.
That's wonderful, David.
So what is this? So you can see I've already put the label on.
Oh, yes.
So
Very
that was,
nice.
I guess, one of the highlights of my year was
Yes.
That's a cool butterfly.
yes, I thought, what the hell is that?
It's proof that the universe is uncertain.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
David, I went a few days later and it
that's
was
right.
still there in that
Yes.
dog bane patch.
If you
Good
found
God.
it out of all the hundreds of Coronis fritillaries that were there, you found it still there.
Where
It's
was
This
that?
amazing.
was a very popular nectarine patch. This was just adjacent to the spreading dog bane, that it was just covered in Coronis, and there's just this one there in amongst them. I thought, my God, it's a variegated fritillary.
I know,
I've
yeah.
never seen in my life.
Yeah.
Bob, but yeah, and so I had to get a shot of the underside to prove to myself that it was Coronis, and sure enough, it was a bit obliterated, the normal underside, but there was enough of it to recognize it as Coronis. So that's what it is. So it's one of those life of butterflies, I guess, and never got to be seen again.
Where was this,
And
David?
this is, as I learned later, I've been, beginning of this year, I found this great new spot. I thought it was a new spot. We had a wobber field trip there. And then I spoke to John about it, and he told me, oh yeah, I went down there in 1969. It's a great spot.
And where is it?
But it's still great. It's Artanum, South Fork
No,
of
what I
Artanum.
told you was it was newcomer's spot. He took me there.
Well, yeah, but you were there in 69 too, because I looked back at our paper on Coronis, and that's where you found some larvae, apparently.
Right.
So, and that was 1969. But yeah, I figured it would be a newcomer spot. But was it always as good as I'm telling you it is now? John?
What's
Was it
that
as
now?
good- Was it good then for butterflies as it is now?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, nothing is always the same. Okay, so like,
No.
yeah, but it was repeatedly visited because it was on the way to some good places and it's on the way back from some others, right? So yeah, we visited there pretty regularly because, well, as you noted, there's a lot of nectar.
Yeah.
What is that nectar plant? I don't know.
That's
This
gumweed,
is-
isn't it?
No.
This is Dusky Maidens.
Do you know
Is
the
that-
genus or the family?
Is that Grindelia?
No, it's not.
No, it's I can't pronounce it. CHAEN.
Oh, Canactus.
Yeah, Canactus.
Canactus, right.
What family?
Composite, I think.
No, it's not.
It's not?
No,
What's a Canactus?
I don't know.
I don't know what family it's in.
Doesn't look like composite though.
It's a very good butterfly.
Yeah, I
nectar
see
plant.
that.
I always look at that. It's very weedy too, so it pops up all over the place. Anyway, so yeah, Artanum, South Fork. You haven't been there, Bob?
Like John, a long time ago.
Well, it's my new favorite place, and it,
Very
it
nice.
sort of starts off at a lower elevation, and you climb up higher. So, all season long you can keep going back. I
That's
was there
great.
today actually, and saw green commas very similar to the previous shots we just saw.
Remind me of what the approach to it is. Where do you go?
It's you follow Artanum
Bob.
Road out of Yakima, west of Yakima, south. No, the east side of Yakima.
Oh,
Um,
right.
To the mountains.
Bob, it's right not far from Cottonwood Creek, brother.
Which creek?
Cottonwood Creek, the famous.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Huh.
Okay, Canactus is a composite.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I apologize. Didn't look like it.
Well, I didn't know either, so I had to go look.
Okay, so this is another butterfly from Artanum, and Artanum is another place that I saw this year, all three wood nymphs.
Right.
And I also see all three wood nymphs at Waterworks Canyon at the right time.
Nice.
It's a very you know, the narrow
That is
window.
That is a great picture of a Great Basin.
Yeah, that's why I put it up. I thought that, you know, that you can't mistake that for anything else but a Great Basin for touring.
That really shows the mesial band.
Yeah.
You called it a fritillary, but
and
We get
also
it.
Snow Mountain Ranch. I found common wood nymph there for the first time this year down by the creek. So that makes the 3 species occur in there too. And I
Nice.
saw all 3 species at the same time. So it's more common than you think to find the 3 species apparently.
Nice.
But echoing what Jeff said earlier, I've seen more Great Basin wood nymphs this year than I've seen in my life, you know, in the last 20 years.
Oh,
So they're having a good year apparently. Pine whites are not having such a good year. I haven't seen many of them, just a very small population at Artanum again. But I put this picture up because I was sitting down under a tree just watching them and saw them taking something from dried up lupin plants. So this is a, you know, a senesced lupin, and this one is, well, not, there was more than one, is extracting something from it. You know, presumably, I don't know, Bob, if have you seen this before? I mean, it reminds me
I've seen
Danaids getting, you know, the material they do from that genus of plants that I can't remember the name of to help with reproduction, etc.
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen queens doing that with daughter vine, you know, things like
Right.
that. But no, I've certainly never seen this with a lupin or.
No, I've never seen any butterfly on lupin doing
No.
this. They were
can I
doing,
make something up? Okay, so early in the year, you know, you had aphids on that lupin and they were producing honeydew.
right.
All of it
Yeah.
got eaten by ants and they secreted it, it adhered to the plant, and the aphids are long gone. Everything's dried up, and the pine white is desperate. So it's like trying to get, you know, the secretions of aphids, you know, and it's trying to liquefy them with its proboscis. I
Could
told you,
be.
I made it
Yeah,
up.
that could be the answer. That could be it. Anyway, that was an interesting little bit of biological
It's a
behavior.
wonderful picture in any case. Oh
This one I
boy,
put in as a
talk
cute
about a
one.
wonderful picture.
Yeah. Peekaboo Garita. Yeah. that
That's
was
gorgeous,
taken
David.
on our conference weekend at
I'm thinking that's a European.
You're
No,
thinking it's a European? No, I don't think
It's a
so. We looked
Garita.
long and hard.
It's
We
a
had a whole
Garita.
bunch of us there.
Garita has a really nice silver line on the ventral.
Okay, I'll send you some more pictures, John. I took a lot of pictures that day.
All
I
right.
mean, I think on the day I was trying to make them into, or some of them into Europeans. So I was, yeah, okay. I'll check with you later.
But look at that fringe. I mean, it's
Yeah,
absolutely just out of the chrysalis.
yeah, beautiful.
That is gorgeous.
It's a beautiful picture for sure.
I think this is one of the prettiest butterfly pictures I've ever seen.
Oh, thank you, Bob.
David, all your pictures are really nice. What kind of camera do you use?
I use a Nikon, what's it called? It's Coolpix, Nikon Coolpix 1000, 1000. And I got it because of its zoom. I mean, you can stand across the other side of the field and get a picture like this almost. I actually got it because the zoom is so good. And with my monarch tag spotting in California, I needed something to, you know, reach to the top of the tree and read a tag. But it's great for taking pictures of butterflies and not having to get too close and disturb them. It's just got this remarkable zoom that retains quality as well. So yeah, it's a great camera. I couldn't have my little session without a monarch, could I? So, but these are Australian monarchs, and this is a different milkweed that none of you have seen probably. Gomphocarpus cancellatus. Bob's probably seen it, I guess, because he's been to Australia. But this is the main milkweed that they use in South Australia, the state of South Australia, and it seems to be the reason for their abundance there. I mean, they're doing better in South Australia than any other state. And this milkweed species is also suddenly become extremely common.
It's
You know,
quite a large plant, isn't it,
it
David?
is a large plant. I'll show you another picture in a minute and show how large it is. It's a very tough plant too. It's a big bush, but the flowers are very milkweed-like, obviously, and the butterflies love it. I mean, they're really just attracted to it.
Did you say it's native, David?
No, it's from South Africa.
Oh, okay.
It's not a native. Yeah,
Are we gonna see monarchs this year in Spokane?
no,
No?
you're past that now. We might
They've
see
been
them
here.
as they
Oh,
leave.
they have been here?
This is the milkweed in front of the kangaroo there. And I was a bit wary about going to actually check that milkweed for eggs.
That's cute.
Sort of just got up and I disturbed him. But yeah, I mean that milkweed there's, you can see how tall it is, and that's not the tallest I saw. So yeah, quite a remarkable milkweed. I was there looking at the overwintering colonies in July, and I actually found a few new colonies. This was at the site of a new colony. So yeah, I think that might be my last picture. Yes.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Thank you, David. So, Regina, do you have some photos to share, or anybody else?
I've got a couple, but
Okay, tee 'em up. Is that Christy?
yeah, I'll see. I have to see if I could figure out how to do this.
Okay.
Let's see if this will work here.
It says
What
it's
do you
starting.
see?
There, we see it. Yeah,
Oh,
we're good.
nice.
That's beautiful.
Okay. This was my one of my dreams this summer. I'd always wanted to go find a Gillette's checker spot, and there's a few places where they've been seen up in the Swan Valley, and I just wasn't sure what time of year they were flying or anything. And we went over to a friend's cabin for the 4th of July, and they were everywhere.
Oh,
And I
Wow.
must say, if you stood on the Continental Divide and spat hard enough to the east, I mean, it was less than a quarter mile from the divide, but it was on the east side. So technically not in the Pacific Northwest, but there are a lot of records of them around. I guess not a lot. They're not a very common butterfly, but I was going to go look for them up in the Swan Valley, west of the divide, and never, hadn't done it yet. So anyway, they were fun to see. They were
oh, marvelous,
all over.
Christy.
The first one I saw landed on the hubcap of the car, and was fascinated with something on the hubcap of the car. So that was delightful.
Let me ask you, does that look good to eat? Actually, does this look good to eat?
Yeah. So this is the we see quite a few of these elegant sheep moths flying around, but I found this one laying eggs, and it was a fascinating process to watch.
I bet.
I actually took a bunch of videos, but as well as a lot of stills. So
Is that a snowberry?
yes, and she was it was actually at the same friend's cabin, but we see them every year on this side of the divide. They're pretty common in the western Montana, and I had been out taking pictures of walking across this opening where the cabin is, and this moth was flopping around down on the ground, and I thought, well, what's going on with it? And I picked it up and took a few pictures of it, and then I tried to set it somewhere, and it kept falling off, and I realized it was a female, and she was really fat. I think she was so fat she couldn't hardly fly. So I started putting her on things, and I put her up on another flower to try to get a picture, knowing she isn't going to nectar on it, but just for a picture. And she fell off of that. And then I put her on I think a willow shrub, and she fell off of that. And then in the meantime, one of my friends was over there, and and I said, quick, look up and see. I'm trying to remember what their food plants are. And she looked it up online because we had internet there on for her. Well, she had cell coverage basically. And she said snowberry. And of course I'm standing in the snowberry patch. So I stuck her on a snowberry, and it didn't take a minute and she was
Wow.
laying eggs. It was like, wow, what a relief. I found what I was looking for.
That's a great story, and what a beautiful individual.
Yeah, she was beautiful. So that's my story. Here's my last one. This is a
Oh.
small-eyed sphinx moth that came into my black light one night and was
Wow.
extra friendly. So that's
Wait,
all I have.
small-eyed, do you know what species that is?
Oh gosh.
I'm
Is
thinking
it,
of
I'd have to look it
Peonius
up.
myops, I'm
Yeah,
guessing.
you got it,
The
Maya.
myops or exicata? One
You know,
of
he
those?
wants to beat you up.
Yeah. I think my brain doesn't handle all the scientific names anymore. Anything I can't pronounce. But anyway, that's my last picture.
Well, Christy, I certainly envy you that experience with the Gillette's checker spot.
Really?
The only ones I've ever seen were the colony that Paul Ehrlich introduced to the Gothic Valley in Colorado. I've
Wow.
never seen it in its native range, and it's such a butterfly. I still think there's a chance it could be found in Washington.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah, I think so. Right.
Well, this was like, I think let's see, it was the 7th of July, or no, excuse me, it was the 5th of July that we saw it. And this is a species of concern in Montana, by the
Oh,
way.
yeah.
So,
As well, it should be.
yeah.
Well, John, you look for it up there on Ragged Ridge.
I would. Tell me though, is a dry, rather exposed ridge a good place to
No,
look?
not on the ridge, really. It's it'd be in the valley, it'd be in down where the creeks come down, where it's moister.
Yeah,
Probably
moist
north-
meadows with like Bob said, that twinberry.
Yeah,
Below the ridge.
yes,
Yeah,
in the water courses. I
Okay.
found the Lonicera, the food plants, up on the Selmo River, where it cuts across the corner of the state in the Selmo Wilderness. There's quite a bit of Lonicera. I think that could be a very fruitful area to look.
Well, the Lonicera involucrata is really widely spread, but it's always kind of in music, and it's not always obvious. I mean, when they bloom, they kind of, they show up. But if they're not in bloom, you might not even notice them, right?
Right.
Is it only one species of Lonicera or?
No,
Well,
it's also Utahensis also.
yeah, I don't know that the butterfly's been. I don't know. I can't swear that they've been raised on both of them, but that definitely involucrata has been.
Because the Lonicera utahensis for sure is, and a couple of other species are pretty widespread relative to not seeing this butterfly.
Well, like many others, it certainly doesn't occur everywhere the fruit plant does.
Yeah, and it all depends on where it came from and how it got there too. So
Well, there were a bunch of them here, so
yeah,
it
yeah.
wasn't just
yeah.
one. They were flying all over the place, and
Well, last year, in 2023, we visited Steve Kohler in Missoula, and he had this great story about Hayden's ringlet, right? And that was a butterfly that had I mean, it's just about as weird as this butterfly is, being in North America, but it is expanding its range, and it's soon going to be at or near the Continental Divide, which is not very high in the area where it's expanding. So it may be coming our way.
We hope
well,
so.
I've already found them in Missoula.
Okay. Well, I know, but I mean,
They've already gotten as far west as Missoula.
okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know Steve?
Oh yeah.
I've seen Hayden's ringlet up the Swan Valley. Well, it's near Sealy Lake.
Yeah.
My parents
Yeah.
have
And
their summer place up there.
we picked them up on our Missoula butterfly count just a
Right.
couple of times, and they're, and then I've seen them up out of Lincoln and the foothills up there. And
Right.
so, but Steve does think they're expanding their range.
Yeah, they're coming.
Cool butterfly.
Yeah.
Very cool
Absolutely.
butterfly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is the location of your Gillettes here?
This was, if you look on a map for Rogers Pass, so if you drive east of Missoula towards the Continental Divide and you go over the Continental Divide on Highway 200 towards
Right.
Great Falls, and then to the north of Rogers Pass, there's a cluster of little private cabins kind of surrounded by forest and a private ranch. And so this cabin was, it was very close to Rogers Pass. Very, like I say, it was probably a quarter mile from the divide on the east side of the divide, but
Gotcha.
yeah. So, but up in an area of private land. And it was habitat wise, it was one of these typical mountain foothill areas where little drainage coming down with aspen and some cottonwood and a lot of deciduous shrubs, and then kind of mixed conifer on one side of the slope, and the other across the other side, it was an open grassland. My dog is demanding attention here.
Oh,
And
it's a
yeah,
terrific
so,
sighting.
yeah, it's you know, a wet, it's sort of a little wet meadow area in this foothills area where there's just a nice mosaic of different habitats.
Very, very nice.
Yeah, I saw where you had this photo up, Christy, with the people that run the butterfly house out of Missoula.
Oh yeah.
Good people. I'm glad that you're connected with them.
Well, we've known Glenn and Jen when the butterfly house was just a dream. And if any of you are getting over to Missoula, be sure and go visit it. It's an amazing facility, and
it is beautiful.
It's a nonprofit. It's, some of these butterfly places are for profit, you know, businesses, but ours is a nonprofit dedicated to education. And they have a lot of other cool insects besides butterflies, but the butterflies are very cool. Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Christy. Can you stop sharing? And I'm going to pull up if Melanie was able to send me some photos.
Got 'em up?
I'm going to see if I can cue some of them up here right now.
I have a new laptop and I'm not real comfortable with it yet.
That's
You
okay.
can get it, yes. So so this was in the small meadow, and something flew in front of me and landed in ocean spray, and I realized it was a mated pair of this remarkable sexually dimorphic, is that the word?
Yes.
Yes, sexually dimorphic pair. And I don't know if we have any other butterflies that are this different. Do you have the other picture?
I do. That's at the very end. So I've got a couple more to show, and then
okay, so we'll come together. We're all mixed up. So
yeah, okay. Here's the next one that I
so
have.
this was interesting. In Kittitas County, I noticed a large number of snowberry this year, more than I've seen in quite a few years. And this was probably at about 4,200 feet, and lots of snowberries were there nectaring on buckwheat, but then a few, actually it was quite a few, were flying around a small fir tree, and they were chasing each other about. They were landing on the branches, which there's that picture too in there. And I've never seen that happen. It was very cool. It was around 5:30 in the afternoon. And so my thought was, I wonder if they might roost in fir trees, or, you know, at least maybe that day. So that was kind of a fun, I don't know if anybody has any thoughts on that.
Well, that's a reasonable assumption. I don't know either. I've never seen that behavior, Melanie.
Good. Something you haven't seen. So yes, and there were, I mean, there were a lot. They were just you know, all around the tree. So that was one of my fun sightings of the season.
Very nice.
Okay, here's another one.
And this is just always puddling is always magical. This, I don't know if David's still here, but this was also at Autanum. There was I went there several times too, because David was raving about it, and there was a seep several miles in that just had masses of different species of butterflies. Just beautiful to spend time just watching them and, trying to identify them. And
Very
then
nice.
the last one, I
Here's your
think,
stunning finale.
Oh, boy.
right, yeah, so that, I
That's
mean, it was
beautiful. It's
just
pretty.
mind-boggling to see that. Who would know they were the same species?
I think you're probably right that that's probably the most dramatically
Yeah. I think
dimorphic
so.
butterfly we have, and one of the most in the country. The only one might be more is the Diana fritillary.
Or Nokomis.
And Nokomis, but
Mm.
the Diana with the female being blue.
Yes,
is
yes,
very
I've seen
striking,
that
too.
one.
This is fabulous. Great picture.
Yeah.
It
Yes.
is a great picture. So somewhat prurient,
Somewhat what?
prurient.
Purient. Okay.
Prurient, salacious, sexy.
Yeah,
Yeah, sexy. That's it.
that was why I initially said I've got something sexy. So
And you could also say the butterflies are very fresh.
Yeah.
Both of
Yes.
They
them.
have like just hatched.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
Yes.
beautiful.
And she
Well-
just carried him all around this small meadow from place to
Yeah.
place.
Well,
I did have one more, which you probably don't have, where
I couldn't get them all, Melanie.
yeah,
just
I
couldn't
know.
manage. Yeah,
It's
sorry.
thank you
Well,
for
I'm
doing
very-
that, Paulette.
Melanie, I'm very envious. I've made 6 trips in the past 6 weeks up the Alokaman River Canyon in eastern Wahkiakum County. It's very close to me and easy to get up there. Looking for this butterfly because I found the Zerini and the Hydaspes in Wahkiakum County, but never Leto, which we're calling this now. Leto pugitensis, and yours would be Leto over there. But it should be here. I've seen them to the north in Lewis County and to the east in Cowlitz County, and there was some bull thistle, and there were Hydaspes. They should have been there. I think I saw a male once, but boy, this is what I was hoping to find.
I
Julie
know.
asked about the sexes. Julie, the female is the cheesy whitish one on top, and the male is the brilliant one below.
So Melanie, why don't you call out the species in case people aren't so familiar with it?
Oh, this is the Great Spangled Fritillary.
Except it's no longer called that, because that applies to the Spirea sibylle in the east. I was in Vermont about 6 weeks ago.
Except Bob, we returned it to Sibley, so it is a Great Spangled Fritillary.
When did you do that?
I haven't updated the catalog, but like Steve Kohler told me. I mean, I listened to Steve, right?
Last time I talked to you, you were calling it Leto.
Yeah, no.
Can't keep up.
We know
Well,
Paulette. I'm
There's
sorry,
a body of thought.
Great Spangled Fritillary is so much better. Except I always call it the Great Spangled Fritillary.
These
We
do
know
not look-
Artillery.
these do
Paulette
not
and
look-
I went,
Glad I'm not the only one that called them fritillaries. Thank you very much.
There you go.
Yeah, that's the British pronunciation.
The
These
original.
don't look remotely like the Great Spangled Fritillaries of the East, which, by the way, are extremely common back there. Much bigger, much paler in color, and the males and females are the same color. They don't have the dimorphism.
You ever heard of the crowworm eye? That's a Great Spangled Fritillary from Michigan, and it has golden females.
mm,
Charlotte eye.
I'm trying to say.
Charlotte would be Leto if it's.
No, Charlotte eye was a Sibylle. That's why I decided that Nick was crazy.
Well, Charlotte looks like this.
Yes.
It's in Colorado. I don't know, I might be on Nick's side on this one, Joe.
Well, I have to shoot you then.
But then I wrote to L.P. Gray in 1977. He was the great reigning fritillary authority at the time. He was in Maine. He was the king of the fritillaries before Paul Hammond. And I wrote to him and asked him exactly why the Western Pugitensis and Leto were considered the same species as Sibylle. And he wrote me a long, convoluted letter back, but I never found it that convincing.
Did you have something you wanted to add, Melanie?
I was just gonna say that you and I, Paulette and I, went up Monastash Road, heading up to Quartz Mountain at about oh, maybe 4,000 feet in this large meadow, and we saw quite a few. I don't, maybe a dozen, would you say, Paulette?
Yeah.
Males and females?
Yeah, I didn't see so many females, but a number of males, yeah.
Yeah.
Could you say which is which, Melanie? There was a question in the chat.
Oh, certainly. The female is on the left. She's that sort of I call it like purpley chocolate with a lacy, that lacy border. I think she's stunning. And it took me several years. I kept seeing males and I was desperate to see a female. And boy, she's just such a beauty. And then the male is the orange one, brilliant pumpkin-y orange on the right. And she was flying around carrying him. And this was at Reeser Canyon. I had never seen, I'm there quite often for many years, and I'd never seen them there. So it was it was a treat for sure.
Very nice.
It's a great photo,
Nice.
Melanie.
Great photo.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, is there anybody else? Haley, do you have any that you want to share?
I do have one. I can try it from my phone.
Okay,
I don't know if I've tried it from my phone before, but this one, see if I can pull it up on my gallery here. So this was back in May. This is one that John took us on.
Oh, the Antoine Peak.
Yes. Okay, we're gonna see if this works because I don't know how it does this.
Lots of experiments tonight.
Okay, so I think it's in this one. I don't know if we figured out which one this was.
Says your screen sharing. Yep, there you go.
Oh, yeah.
We see it.
I don't have my book in front of me, but yeah, I think there was talk of, is it Moss's self?
Yeah.
Right.
You
Yeah.
are right. We had a look at that a little bit earlier. Yes, thank you.
Well done.
And then whatever its host plant is, I can picture it, but I don't remember the name of it. But we didn't find a lot of it, but it would just be in little sprigs, like just these tiny little.
Sedum, yeah,
Yeah,
it's there. Yeah.
it was interesting.
Well, the time is they're so early that their plant doesn't come up fully when they're out flying. When they lay their eggs, they're just on little nubbins. If you went back there, 1.5, 2 weeks later, then all of a sudden you say, "Oh well, they knew what they were doing."
Oh, okay. Yeah, that would have been what, early May, mid-May, John?
Mm-hmm.
What's
We
their,
were up there, let's see, May 18th, I think.
May 18th.
what's their
and-
food plant again?
Sedum.
Sedums.
Sedum.
Yeah.
That's right.
Sedum, okay.
It'd probably be sedum lanceolatum up there.
We walked back down to the parking lot along a road with a road cut that had lots of those sedum plants growing.
You know what
That
we
was a-
say? You know what we say? We say sedum, feedum.
That one's got a bit of a bite out of the wing there.
Yeah, this one, I don't know if it'll let me, I don't think it'll let me swipe through the pictures because it's on like a gallery app. So,
Yeah.
yeah, there was that one. I'm trying to remember what else we saw at Steptoe. I recently went up there, what was that, last Saturday?
Was this a steptoe or this?
No,
is
no,
okay.
sorry, that was at Antoine's Peak,
Yeah, right,
in
yeah.
May.
Kind of a Mount Spokane foothills area.
Right.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. No, Steptoe, I've kind of gone up there probably, I'd say, a dozen times this year, and I took a bunch of pictures with my phone and my camera, and I didn't get any of the stuff from my camera prepared for tonight, but there's quite a few species everywhere. John and I did several little field trips on the weekends, and I feel like we've got a pretty good list this year.
We did. We
Mhm.
did. I showed him some of the stuff from Rugged Ridge as well.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had quite a few good trips, and I got to bring a couple of of friends that got to be introduced to butterflies and stuff. So that was pretty cool.
Yep, yep. I was singing your praises as a butterfly
Yeah.
WABA recruiter.
Good on you. Good on you.
Definitely.
Yep, we love that.
Okay, well, thanks for sharing that. And Regina, do you want to bring up that photo? Can you do that?
Yeah, I will give it a try. Let's see.
Okay.
Share, and we'll share that one. It's not the best photo in the world, but Melanie said it was good enough to identify it, and JP said it is a county record for Jefferson County.
Well done.
No kidding. That's great.
Yeah,
Nice.
Where was it, Regina?
Dabob Bay.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, right by the water. It's an old house. House is gone. We took it out, but lawn, grasses, sedges, a little bit of canary grass, just a few yards from the water.
Do you want to tell everybody what it is, Regina?
Oh, Dun Skipper, which I think is a very appropriate name. It's pretty well done colored. I was expecting, some kind of woodland skipper or something, but this thing was uniformly brown with just a few tiny, tiny little spots.
Well, I thought it was a dun skipper because it's the last one we're looking at.
Very well said.
Regina, what's the category of land there?
It's in, I'm not sure actually if it's natural area preserve or natural resource conservation area.
Right.
But yeah, it's part of the natural area. It's actually on a county road. So
Yeah.
people live out there. There's an oyster farm out there.
Yeah. I've been out there. It's nice.
Yeah. Oh, it's beautiful.
I'm born not too far from there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's wonderful to get a county record. That's super.
No
Yeah,
kidding.
Jefferson County too. I mean, not a lot of people work in Jefferson County and find this stuff.
That's
No,
right.
that's right.
Good job, Regina.
Thank you.
Yeah,
That
thank you.
was my excitement for the year.
Yeah, cool.
Plenty.
Okay, well, I think that probably is a fitting end. Thank you for suggesting that, JP. I love that.
The
So
Dun
with,
Skipper, yeah.
with the Dun Skipper, why don't we call it an evening? And I don't have anything lined up yet for next month, but I'm working on it. So yeah, we'll send you a message and let you know for the first week of October.
Paulette?
Yeah, I might could do something by then. I don't know.
Okay, well, we can be, let's communicate the next couple days. I need to start working on it. So, oh, what you got there, Bob?
Well, this is that sulfur.
It's
I
the
couldn't get-
sulfur.
Hey,
This was photographed by my friend over in Warrenton, Oregon, a few days ago. And the reason I wanted to show it is to ask, has anyone else been seeing any orange sulfurs on the west side this year? Some years
I
we
have-
have a lot. One year I had thousands in the valley here, but this year I've not seen a one. And then she came back with this picture. So I just wondered, has anyone else been seeing west side immigrant orange sulfurs?
No.
There's a bunch of sulfurs on the Palouse, and they were everywhere on Steptoe, and I went on Saturday, but I don't know if they're orange or
we were
not.
talking on the west side.
West side. I'm
Okay.
talking about.
I can't say I've received many, Bob.
Okay, thanks for indulging me.
Okay.
What was weird about sulfurs is they got off to a really early start on the east side here. They were just abundant right from April and May. And now they've crashed. I haven't seen one for quite
Yeah.
a while.
I haven't either.
The years are so different. Remember, last year was such just a watershed year for Western tiger swallowtails. So many.
Yeah.
This year, I think I've seen 3 all summer.
Yes.
It is an odd year,
It's an odd
definitely.
year. I think the late cold spring caused a lot of things to rot before they got out in the springtime.
Mm.
But
We
then-
actually had more double-tailed swallowtails late in the summer than we did earlier in the year. I've never seen that before.
We have actually had records of both rudderless and multicaudata second broods this year, and a reasonable number of limonized, organized second broods.
You know, that's another one, Lorcanai. going up these several trips up the Elokaman, should have been lorcaenae all over the place. I saw one here in my yard, that same view over the covered bridge, on the last day of August. It's the only lorcaenae I've seen all summer.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. And those orange sulfurs, you know, every year they they build up in the east, they fly into the mountains for nectar, just like the coronas, but it's not a return migration like that we know of. And then some spill over to the west side. And certain years we get a lot. I mean, seriously, I think it was about 8 or 10 years ago. There were literally thousands of them here in my valley. There's a lot of red clover in the valley, in the hayfields, and the sulfurs were astonishingly abundant. Most years it's a few, and this year none. So, but isn't that what makes it fun? How things vary and
It
fluctuate
is.
and change.
I mean, this is like also an off year for pine whites. Has
Yeah,
anybody seen any of those? I saw one, and it
yeah.
was almost in Idaho. Barely even a Washington butterfly.
All this time I thought dissecting genitalia was fun.
Okay, I'm gonna bring it to a close. We're almost 2.5 hours. So thank
All
you,
right.
everybody, for
Thank you, everybody,
joining,
for being here.
Thank
Yeah.
sharing
you.
your
Yeah.
You guys are
photographs.
great, man. It's great.
Good,
Yeah.
good
It's
seeing
really
you
fun.
all. And
Good
what
to
an
see you all.
interstate
Yeah.
coalition we are as
Yeah.
well.
Okay, good night, everybody. We'll see you next month.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Right.
Okay.
Night,
Night.
Mel.
Take care.
What? Could
Yes.
I ask you to bear with me and let me try to share again after everybody leaves?
Yes, let me turn, okay, let me see if I can stop the recording. Here we go.
I have no